I'm currently the chairperson for the Surrey East branch, and that is the BCMA, usually it's known as Masjidur Rahmah. Inshallah, before we commence with the program, I'll get Brother Adil to do Quran Tilawat.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, bro. Hafiz Bhai. Before we commence with the program, I'd like to call upon our Qari Sahib and Mufti Nazim Mangara to come forward, inshallah, to take seats up here. We'd like to welcome you all to the Elections 2015 Meet Your Candidates Forum organized by Al-Amin Post newspaper with the coordination of BCMA Surrey East Branch and BCMA Surrey Delta Branch. As you might be aware that the 2015 federal election will be held on October 19th. It is important for Muslims to participate in the election by way of voting, donating, and volunteering to have their concerns addressed. The purpose to host this forum is to assist potential Muslims, voters in finding information about the issues in their respective Surrey, Newton, and Delta riding. To help us set the scene for today's program, we are joined by our ulama, Qari Abdul Wahab Sahib, the head imam of BCMA Surrey Delta branch, and Mufti Nazim Mangara Sahib, the imam of Masjidur Rahmah, and of course the candidates. From the Surrey Newton riding, we have Harpreet Singh on the left from the Conservative Party, and Ginny Sins from the NDP Party, Sukh Dhaliwal from Liberal Party, and Pamela Sangha was supposed to be here. I guess we didn't get a response, so she's not here. And the candidates from the Delta riding, we have Carla Coltrove from the Liberal Party, and Jeremy Lavec from the NDP Party. There were two no-shows, and apologies from Anthony Devella, the Green Party, and he is actually working today. And from Kerry Lynn Finlay from Conservative, there was no response, so she's not here today. It is hoped that the program today will help us make an informed choice before we cast our ballot in the 2015 federal elections. Now I would like to call upon Brother Bashar, the chair of the Surrey Delta branch, to say a few words.
Jazakallah, Brother Altaf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, nominated candidates, and our honorable imams, I would like to welcome you to our mosque, Surrey Jamia Masjid, and hope you are as excited as me to welcome the candidates and to hear what they have to say today. My brother and sisters, as Surrey Delta branch and the board member, we are proud to sponsor the event organized by the Al-Amin Post newspaper and feel that it is about time that as a Muslims, we take a proactive roles and interest in the politics and affair of our great country, Canada. Surrey Jamia Masjid is a cornerstone of Muslims, located in the riding of Delta and Surrey, Newton, where most Muslims reside, within close proximity. It is a forum like this that will help us to understand the issue before we actually go and vote. Just a few housekeeping rules. The ladies' washroom are upstairs and the men's washroom are below the parking lot. Refreshment will be served, inshallah, after the program. And thank you for attending today's program. And I hope you have a wonderful time. So thank you again for coming. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah, Brother Basharat. I'd like now to call upon Mufti Nazim Mangara Sahab to talk about the importance of voting from an Islamic perspective. Mufti Nazim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I welcome all the candidates and good afternoon, and also to the visitors. Thank you for taking the time out to be present here this afternoon. Sometimes when you throw an invitation, when you invite people and people don't attend, then you feel really bad. So thanks for taking care of our feelings. Dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, and our respected guests and candidates, there are over 1 million Muslims in Canada, comprising 3% of the total national population. According to the Pew Forum, the Muslim population in Canada is set to triple in size by 2030, making Muslims one of the largest voting bases in the country. As Canadian Muslims, we have an important role to play in Canada's present and future. Canadian Muslims' participation in electoral politics has been low for the last few years, and there are multiple reasons. One is because many of us come from countries where we have never voted before, we've never had a chance to vote before, we have dictators running our countries, or for logistical reasons, or at times because people are working multiple jobs, they're just too busy to take time off from work. But dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we are required by our faith to be active participants in whichever country which we live in. If we see open oppression and transgression, and despite having the capability of preventing this oppression by giving our vote, and we do not do so, then in the light of this hadith and other teachings of the religion of Islam, we will be held accountable. And that is why, dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we need to be involved in the democratic process. We need to read the policies and legislations. We need to learn for ourselves. We need to look for the party that wants to ensure our voice is heard. And because Islam's message is comprehensive, encompassing all aspects of life. Inaction, or worse, cynicism runs counter to this. If we are not present to give our opinions through the channels available, others will do so for us. That is why our participation in the political process works towards promoting the best interests of Muslims and overall good in society. Reducing poverty, making quality medical care easily accessible, and ensuring everyone's civil liberties are upheld. At times we make this reason an excuse for not voting that the politicians don't care about Muslims, and they don't care about Muslim, Islamic, and Muslim issues. But dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, that's not the only reason why we vote. Because there are many more other issues present in society which is much more than the religion of Islam. Let's say, for example, there are political issues like euthanasia. Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via assisted suicide? Should prisoners serving life sentences for first-degree murder be eligible for a parole hearing after 15 years? Should the federal government be able to monitor phone calls and emails? Should prescription drugs be covered under Canada's Universal Healthcare Plan? Should preventive dental care be covered under Canada's Universal Healthcare Plan? Should the federal government put a cap on university tuition rates? And I'm not sure if this is a favorite of some people, but should marijuana be legalized for recreational use? So these issues, and there are many other issues which affects and impacts every single one of us. So that's why it's very important that not only do we keep the Islamic and Muslim perspective and our issues in front, but there are many things which affect us now and which will affect our future generations. So that is why you speak loudest when you vote. We speak the loudest when we vote. Otherwise, at times, hatred for Muslims is just a wedge issue used by politicians to get vote by pandering to a political base. And that is why we need to be involved in this process, help out the candidates, volunteer for their cause, donate money towards their cause, help them in whichever way we can. And then when we are active participants and we're involved civically and there's civic engagement and we are politically engaged, then through that, hopefully, people will pay attention to us. Many times, we want to expand our masjid. We want to expand our parking space in the masjid. Or we want various things done for our Islamic schools or other issues. So if we are actively involved, we're talking, we're donating, we're volunteering, then people will pay attention to us. And not only for our religion, not only for Islamic faith, but every single aspect of our life. Like, for example, lights in our streets, or crosswalks in our streets, or speed limit in our streets. So these are just some examples, because sometimes, unfortunately, some of us say that politicians don't care about what's happening in this country, in that country, so I'm not going to vote. But dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we all need to be engaged, and not only the brothers, but even the sisters. But unfortunately, I see that there's very few sisters here, and all of them are probably, like majority of them are less than the age of 20. So this is the state of our society and state of our condition. We need to be involved in various aspects. So I hope that we keep this in mind. And I do not know even one scholar. I do not even know one scholar who says that it is not permissible for us to vote. Actually, scholars and imams, they encourage and they actively tell people in our communities through Friday lectures and other lectures to be involved and to take part, volunteer in our schools and other places. So we have no religious reason to not vote. So we need just to take time out, and I make dua to Allah that may Allah make it easy for all of us to be actively involved and participate in this beautiful country which we are living in. Ameen. Jazakumullah.
Thank you, Mufti Nazim Sahab, for your great comments. And now I'd like to call upon Brother Shahzad from Al-Amin to say a few words on behalf of the moderators of today's forum. Brother Shahzad.
Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for all the candidates that made it today. I know it's Sunday and it's a rough day for you guys to be going out there and meeting candidates and you sitting and spending time with the Muslim community. So it means a lot to us. That I know it is a Sunday, and Sunday is a very, very busy day for you guys. Al-Amin Post, on behalf of Al-Amin Post, we would like to increase the awareness of the campaign. That is our goal, is to increase awareness. Within the Muslim community, I know our turnout rate on the election day is very, very low. And it's not just here, it's right across the country the same way. And there's many reasons for it, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But Al-Amin Post would like to increase the awareness of the campaign and increase the Muslim participation in the election by holding forums just like this one. We have one in Richmond coming up. We have one in Burnaby Masjid coming up. And this is all in partnership with the British Columbia Muslim Association. With all candidates where most of the Muslim resides. And we welcome you to join a discussion with the Muslim community to show that Muslim voters matter and that Muslims are ready to participate in the 2015 elections. And I've never seen such enthusiasm among the Muslims to participate in this election than any other election that I've witnessed, and I've lived over here basically my entire life. And Mr. Harper confirmed that I am an old stock Canadian. And so, no, he did. There was actually a response to my tweet, so I was happy with that, So he basically confirmed that anybody who's lived over here for more than one generation is an old stock Canadian. Now the forum will help the voters to decide who shall be their next member of parliament. To ensure maximum number of issues are discussed in the limited time frame, I'm just going to lay down the rules. The format of the forum shall be as follows. Only written questions will be entertained or discussed. If you do not have a form, please raise your hands and pass pass the questions to the moderators that are sitting over here. Brother Adil will be doing the questioning part, and then we have myself and Brother Jafar who are the moderator. And then we will select the questions, edit if needed, and Brother Adil, as I said, will question the candidate. The order of the speaking shall be decided by a ballot. The candidate with the lowest score shall start in ascending order. So basically, we don't want to pick favorites saying you go first and you go second. We're going to do a ballot. They will pick out a number, and that will be the number. And Brother Sikandar will be doing that right now. So this way, and that order will remain for throughout the debate, inshallah.
No, it's Jeremy.
Okay, so this is the order. Jeremy Levesque I believe from Delta. That's correct. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not from here, Jeremy Levesque is number 1. Carla.
Quattro.
Sorry, what is?
Quattro.
Quadro is the number 2 from Delta. Number 3 is Mr. Sud Dhaliwal. Number 4 is, of course, Jenny Sims. And number 5 is Harpreet Singh. So that will be the order. So whatever the questions will be presented, we'll start off in that order. Now, Brother Sikandar Hayat is our timekeeper. He will raise his hands when 1 minute is left. So each candidate will write down how many minutes they get to speak on each topic. So whenever the time is up, Brother Sikandar Hayat will raise his hand at 1 minute mark, indicating it to the candidate that your time is coming up. And then the remainder at 10 seconds. At 10 seconds before the time's up, he's going to raise his hands to signal them, to let them know that just wrap it up. In the first round, each candidate will introduce themselves. Maximum time allowed 2 minutes. So you have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. In the second round, from each federal party, one designated candidate will speak about their party platform. So they can decide who will speak, and then they will address the audience about their party platform. Maximum time allowed for that will be 4 minutes. In the third round, in an ascending order, all candidates will select a category from which the questions will be presented. And we have 20 categories, so it's a very wholesome debate. It's not just narrowed down to 1 or 2 points or 1 or 2 issues. We have a host of topics to talk about, so there's 20, and among the 20, they will select which one they feel comfortable with, and then they will answer that. And the categories are listed on the posters over in the front. The candidate will have 2 minutes to answer, and one candidate from the remaining party will have 1 minute for rebuttal. So not only the candidate gets to speak for 2 minutes, the other parties do get to do a rebuttal of 1 minute on that. In the fourth round, the moderators will select questions from the remaining category of each candidate. So after whatever they've used up, whatever the remaining categories are, we'll find the questions over here, and we'll try to address the audience. And in the fifth round, the moderators will ask 1 question to all candidates. And if time permits, the candidates are okay to stay. The questions and answers format will continue to 4:30 p.m. And before bringing the program to an end, Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah, Brother Shazad. And now I'm going to call upon Brother Adil Awan. Brother Adil Awan is the moderator of the day, and he's going to talk on some issues, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Candidates, thank you for coming. Guests, thank you for coming. What we're going to do today is I'm going to be quite strict actually on timing. We don't want to go over our 2 minutes and the 1 minute rebuttals as well. Okay. So to start off, we have, I couldn't see that far because my eyes aren't that great. But, so Jeremy, we're going to start with you first. We would like you to introduce yourself and just briefly let us know what your party's platform is, just basically, and then we'll carry on down the line. Okay.
Are we doing a statement about the platform?
That's after.
Yes.
Are we doing it after?
Oh,
2 minutes is
2 minutes is just for you. How about yourself? Okay, just for you. No, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hello?
Bye.
There we go. Hello? Oh, okay. Thank you. I got worried for a moment there. 2 minutes is a very short amount of time to introduce an entire platform. Thank you for having me. I'm Jeremy Levesque. I'm the NDP candidate for Delta. Eid Mubarak, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. I want to thank the organizers for putting all of this together. And I especially would like to extend my thanks to you because the words you spoke opening up this forum are really important. The Muslim community here in BC and across the country is part of the vibrant framework, the vibrant tapestry of what Canada is, and it's important that you do get engaged. And that's one of the reasons that I've gotten engaged. I've been involved in politics my whole life, but this was the time I decided to step forward and put my hat in the ring because this is going to be one of the most important elections in our lives, possibly in the entire history of our country. And it's important that we all get involved and engaged, and we consider seriously the very important issues that we're talking about. 1 minute, thank you. I grew up in Delta. Delta is my home. It's an important community to me. My wife is also from Delta. You know, we live there now. And it's important to me that Delta has the kind of representation in Ottawa that it deserves. Somebody who knows the communities that make it up very well, somebody who cares about them deeply, and somebody who wants to see the real kind of change that is possible in this election and real representation for the concerns and issues of Delta, and that includes Delta's Muslim community. So I encourage you, please, if you have any questions, be in contact with me. I'd love to hear from you. I hope that the things that we talk about today can encourage you to come out, thank you, and vote for the NDP. We have a strong, principled, clear plan, and I believe that it will speak to the concerns of the Muslim community and other communities here in BC and Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Carla?
Carla?
Kind of hold up way away from you.
Thank you. Is this all right? Perfect, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you all very much for having me here today. As was said, my name is Carla Qualtrough, and I'm the Liberal candidate for Delta. I'm running for Member of Parliament because I think that Delta deserves better, and I think that Canada deserves better in its government. I've been a lawyer for 17 years. I'm a human rights lawyer. I've worked for both the Human Rights Commission federally and the BC Council of Human Rights. I have spent my career fighting for inclusion and accessibility and championing diversity because I really wholeheartedly believe that the diversity of Canada is what makes it stronger. I'm a mother of 4. I have 4 children. My youngest is 3 and my oldest is 18. My husband and I chose to move to Delta and raise our family in Delta because we believe it's a wonderful place to raise a family, and we love the richness of both the people and the land. There's a number of things I care about passionately, but as I said, diversity is top of the list. I'm very, very interested in how community engagement has been lacking in our government. Okay, I can't see very well. I should probably tell you guys that as well. I'm legally blind. I have a disability, so I can't see any of you. So they're doing their best to help me. I have no idea what's on the topic list, by the way, so that'll be a surprise to me just when I get them. But what I was saying is I'm really keen to hear what people have to say. What I'm hearing on the doorsteps is a real feeling of lack of engagement by government, and that Delta wants a member of parliament that's going to fight for them and advocate for them, but also bring the concerns of our community to Ottawa and not just have a messenger from Ottawa tell them what's going on. So I thank you very much for the invitation here today. I echo your words. I think it's very important for people to vote. So please exercise your right to vote and be proud that you can do so in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. And
Perfect.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening. My name is Sukh Dhaliwal. As Carla mentioned, that you need a representative that can take your message from here to Ottawa. And when I was elected member of Parliament, I'm very proud that I took that message very clearly to my party, to my caucus, and to Ottawa. I'm a professional engineer with 2 degrees in engineering and a postgraduate diploma in energy management and utilization. I'm also a BC land surveyor and a small businessman. This community is a home to me, my family, my parents, and my business, unlike some other candidates that might have taken it as a political opportunity to move into this riding when they lose nomination in Vancouver. I have raised my family here, and my elderly parents are living with me. I can tell you, your needs are my needs. When it comes to Muslim community, I have come to know this community and many of you as friends long before I got into politics. When they were building this masjid, the chairman of the masjid, when they came to me, anything that I could offer, whether it was advice or the guidance to do with the process and whatnot, I was involved. The youth center on 76 and 128, I was there. Any personal issue that everyone that brought forward, I put my 100% to make sure that I'm able to serve this community to the best of my ability. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Dhaliwal. Ms. Sims?
Can people see me if I'm sitting down? Okay, that's great, because it's a bit hard to maneuver that. Normally, I don't even need a mic. Assalamu alaikum. आप सब भाइयों और बहनों को मेरी और एनडीपी पार्टी की तरफ से जिलहज का महीना मुबारक हो. Today, we're here to make some decisions or to get information about one of the most important elections in Canadian history. This election is about the kind of Canada we want. My family lived in North Delta for about 26 years, and after the last election, I did move into Surrey Newton. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm a teacher. And I ran in this riding specifically because I wanted to show our kids that we could do politics differently, that we could do politics Canadian style, and that doing that we can go there and participate in a fulsome manner. All of you know me and the work I have done. I've worked very, very closely with the BCMA, with CBS. I've been an outspoken advocate on every issue. I not only take concerns to Ottawa, but I bring them back and take your feedback, and then your feedback gets to go to Ottawa as well. We have to see beyond the politics of fear and division. We have to look at politics of hope, because that's what our children need. And I can say, shame on Mr. Harper for C-51. And I can say, shame Shame on the Liberals and Mr. Trudeau for supporting C-51. Mr. Mulcair and the NDP make a commitment to repeal the bill.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. Harpreet, thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Khwatreen Hazrat. My name is Harpreet Singh and I came to Canada in 2002. What a wonderful, great country it is where I have got the opportunity to run for public office in such a short time, which would not have been possible in my land from where I come. I've been a journalist even in India and even in Canada also. When I landed, I started pursuing journalism. And I have had 23 years of experience being in the media. And being a journalist, I've always had the opportunity to interact with all the communities, whether they were the Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims. And through my program, I've always had all communities come forward and talk about the positivities, what our religions tell us to be. I'm a firm believer in faith, and I believe that faith is the foundation of our progress. And that is why, in today's world, faith should be our guide, and faith should tell us what to do. So I have great pride in being a candidate in Surrey Newton because I have been living over here. I know the pulse of the people, what is happening over here, and what needs to be done. And for that reason, I pursued this career in politics. Now, when we talk about politics, I was quite surprised at what we are finding at the doors. There is a disconnection existing between the politicians and the common people, because politicians who are opportunists, who just can blame and groan and complain, they just, when some bills are passed in the parliament, they vote against it. But when they come into Surrey Newton, they say, we want a change in that. And I have proof for that, which we'll be talking later on, because this is a time for my introduction. So I am an honest, hardworking candidate. I believe in integrity. I believe in ethics, honesty. These are my foundations. And my faith is my guiding principle. And I'm proud that I'm a Sikh, I'm a Canadian, and I have great respect for all the other religions. Thank you for getting us here today.
Thank you, Harpreet. So now we're going to start with a topic of your choice. I just got involved in this yesterday, so I've got 24 hours to do this. So just give me 1 second. Okay. All right, I'm with you now. Okay, so we're going to be doing party platforms now. And so we'll start from Jeremy again with the... Oh, you're going to do
My
the...
understanding is only one candidate.
Okay, all right. So that would be Ginny?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Our priorities and how we will pay for them is very...
Your mic's not on.
Okay. Our priorities and how we will pay for them is very clear. The first is affordability, which means long-term investments to help families get ahead. Investments such as childcare, creating 1 million childcare spaces at no more than $15 a day. Every dollar we spend on childcare puts $2 back into the economy without thinking of the other benefits. Good jobs. Small business is the heartbeat of Surrey and Delta. Small businesses create 80% of our jobs. We will lower the small business tax from 11 to 9%. We will grow decent paying jobs in Canada, not shipping out our resources. Our kids deserve better. We will create 30,000 jobs by giving municipalities an extra cent of the existing tax to fix roads and bridges. We will invest $1.3 billion per year over 20 years to support municipal needs. We will also reverse Harper's retirement age back to 65 and boost Canada's public pension system. Community safety, we know how critical that is here. We are still waiting for the 100 RCMP officers Harper promised and promised and promised. Since 2007, the RCMP has handed back $1.7 billion to Stephen Harper to help him balance his books. He enjoyed the photo ops, but did not deliver. Imagine how much we could have done for our youth in youth gang violence, fighting drugs, extra police on our streets. The NDP will re-establish the Police Officer Recruitment Fund that was cancelled by Stephen Harper. $250 million investment over the next 4 years, permanent ongoing funding after that of annual $100 million per year. Healthcare in Canada, we're proud that you only need a health card, not a credit card, to see a doctor or receive care at a hospital. It's part of who we are. This is Tommy Douglas's gift to us. After a decade of Stephen Harper's neglect, 5 million Canadians don't have a family doctor. We have a comprehensive plan to improve healthcare and reverse the damage done by years of Liberal and Conservative neglect. An NDP government will provide long-term stable funding and work with the provinces and territories to ensure more Canadians can access a family doctor and primary care teams and invest in senior care and start a plan on a national pharmacare program. A topic dear to all our hearts is immigration. We need a fair and balanced immigration policies. We will go back to the policies of nation building, including a fair, transparent immigration system, and repeal the dangerous targeted and divisive laws like C-51 and C-24. Ask yourself, is it taking longer to reunite with your family? Has Harper fixed foreign credentials? The racist immigration policies of targeting people based on countries of origin began with the Liberals, who did it behind closed doors. The Conservatives are doing it in the open. Unlike the other parties, we have a balanced fiscal plan, a blueprint for building the Canada of our dreams. Tom Mulcair and the NDP are ready for change with a balanced and sustainable fiscal plan, a plan that delivers on our commitments and lives within our means. Only Tom Mulcair has a plan for the change Canadians want in Ottawa, a government that is principled, focused, and chooses to live within its means and accomplish great things. Together, let us build a more inclusive and just Canada.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. Mr. Dhaliwal.
Thank you very much. When Justin Trudeau became the leader of the Liberal Party, the very first thing he said, that every policy that Liberal Party brings in have to meet the challenges that the middle class is facing. Got to make sure that he is able to address those issues. When we talk about Surrey and Delta, this is an economic engine of British Columbia. We got to make sure that federal government provides the support that we need here in Surrey and Delta. We have announced $125 billion in infrastructure funding, out of which $20 additional billion will go in public transit, which is needed by Surrey and Delta because this is one of the fastest growing municipalities. And we got to make sure that we have an economic development plan for the people that are unemployed, the people that need training, the people that are moving from other provinces and other countries. And we will have $1 billion put aside to deal with all those situations, including $200 million to train our young people which are unemployed at this time. On the crime, we all know, NDP, the voting record is very clear. When I was in the House of Commons, I'm a Liberal, I'm a proud Liberal. Every legislation that came in to toughen the crime legislation, I always stood irrespective of which party brought forward, and I supported that. NDP record, and I'm sure Janeet's record is very clear, that they don't give a damn when it comes to a tough legislation. But on the other hand, Conservatives, when it comes to civil liberties, that has always been an issue. We have to have a plan to deal with the crime situation in Surrey and Delta. We will make sure that immediately we deliver 100 police officers that is in the contract with Surrey to the federal government. Right now, Public Safety Minister was here. They were already saying, well, those 100 officers are on the road, but there were none here. We will make sure that comes. And on the other hand, Mr. Harper believes in building jails, spending billions and billions of dollars building the jails, but we will spend that money to give it to the organizations that, like BCMA, that will put attention so our young people, before they get into the criminal activities, we are able to deal with that, and we will spend that money to deal with hardcore criminals. On the middle class families, to help them, we will lower their taxes by 7% and will increase the taxes for people, 1% of the population that is earning over $200,000. And we will give $2,500 tax-free incentive for a child care with families $90,000 or less in income, which is going to help many people in Surrey and Delta. On the immigration, we are the only party that opened up the immigration, and I will stand and the party will stand to have a balanced approach where it's not that if you have money, you go to the front of the line. We'll have the family class restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dhaliwal. Harpreet?
Thank you. So the major thing what the party focuses is on a strong economy and safety for the Canadians. And as far as economy is concerned, we are proud that in the G7 countries, we have had the best growth. Canadians are worried about this market turmoil right now, which is impacting their savings and retirement. And that's why we are ready with a plan to keep Canada strong. We are ready to meet the economic challenges that lie ahead, ready to emerge faster and stronger than other countries. Despite the 2008 global financial crisis, with a long-term plan of low taxes, a balanced budget and growth, Canada is able to protect jobs, ready to protect your retirement and ready to keep building our strong economy. In 2008, when this recession came, since then till now, 1.3 million net jobs have been created in this country. We have come a long way to make sure our economy is protected by a balanced budget so that we are ready to face whatever comes our way. And of course, we are conservatives. We don't want to waste money. Like Jenny Sims was pointing out that money was taken out from here. We don't want to waste that money where one officer, if one can do the work, why to have 10 over there? So we save the money from there and put it back into your pockets. And just in July, you must have seen, all of you got money in the form of child benefit, which was given to your homes, irrespective of any culture or anything. We believe in facts, the opposition believes in myths, and that's what always the NDP has been propagating as far as the economy is concerned. And you know their record, we don't need to tell you. Wherever they have gone, deficits, and the states have been, provinces have been ruined financially. We have shown in the past if economic circumstances change dramatically, we are ready and able to do whatever is necessary to grow and protect our economy. What Mr. Mulcair and Justin are proposing is out of control spending on day one that will lead to an ever-expanding deficit, which will leave us exposed and unprepared for the economic storms that will come our way in the future. So already the platform which they have announced so much of giveaways. Where is this money going to come from? So that is going to be in the form of hiking your taxes. And right now, we are proud to say that in the past 50 years, the lowest tax structure is in Canada, despite everything else changing. When we talk about the exports, all countries depend upon the exports, and exports from Canada to the world are nearly 50% up since 2009. We have signed free trade agreements with 44 countries, from 4 countries which used to exist before. And of course, Liberal record is they just signed 3 trade agreements in their 13 years of office. NDP record is that they opposed almost every free trade agreement Canada has signed. In today's world, when the world is changing, the world is a global village. We have to join hands with each other, not just oppose for the sake of opposing, and that is what the NDP has been doing in the parliament. As far as crime is concerned, I'm quite shocked when Jenny Sim says that nothing has been done over here. We passed 60 bills, and unfortunately, the NDP virtually opposed every bill which was passed in the parliament, which was proposed by us, which dealt with crime. And herein, when she comes back to the Newton riding, she says nothing is being done. And mind you, of the 100 police officers, 43 are already on the road. And it is not that yes, when you can pluck up someone, it's not like a plant, you just take it out and just put it somewhere. It takes time to produce a police officer, and that's what it has done. But I believe more than that, especially in Surrey Newton, we ought to involve masjids, gurdwaras, churches, because these are our faith centers. You might bring in 1,000 police officers, nothing will get solved. We are the only party which says that the culprit should feel the pinch. If they do something wrong, they should feel that yes, there is law to take into account. So that's what our proposal is, but definitely we'll have more talks as more questions come. Thank you.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you, candidates. Okay, I finally got the timeline on how it's supposed to do this. Like I said, I apologize. I was called yesterday to moderate this, and so I'm just kind of doing it on the fly.
You're doing a good job. Yeah, thank you. Rather than the candidates choosing which category, surely that should be opened up to the people who are here. I'm comfortable with that because it's your meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so you know what we'll do is we'll actually start, if we're going to carry on with that proposal, we'll just go down the list of the order, and this is how I had done it. So this makes a little bit more sense to me. So we'll carry on with this. So our first item of discussion is climate change. Okay. And according to the Washington-based Center for Global Development, Canada has fallen dead last compared to 27 other OECD countries, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, for climate change remediation. Due to our withdrawal from the Kyoto Accords, our high per capita fossil fuel consumption or cold climate and large land area continually rising carbon emissions due largely to oil sands development. Jeremy, what is your take on climate change? And I believe that Mr. Mulcair had proposed a cap and trade system. So if you can just briefly go over what the cap and trade system is and what your take is on the climate change.
Of course. It's an excellent question. It's certainly one of the most important issues that we're currently facing, not only as a country, but as a planet. And it's something that the Conservatives have had absolutely no interest in addressing whatsoever. Aside from the gutting of environmental legislation, protections, environmental assessment protocols, we have fallen dramatically behind the rest of the world, including the United States, where they are starting to take climate change exceedingly seriously. We have a specific plan that we want to put in place. The NDP tried and successfully got Jack Layton's Climate Change Accountability Act through Parliament, after which it was killed by the Conservatives in the Senate. It is a bill that specifies, one of our first acts in government would be to put through that bill. It gives a concrete plan on climate change accountability in this country and reduction targets that we can take to meet with our international partners in Paris in the upcoming, in the upcoming conference. We want to introduce a cap and trade policy which sets a hard cap every year on what GHG emissions can be released in this country. And we will reduce that cap every year. And this allows private industries to negotiate between each other on how they want to approach reducing their impact on the climate. They will trade credits, they will sell each other credits, and over time that market system will allow us to keep shrinking the amount of carbon going into the environment. On top of that, it produces real results. It's been a very successful program in other jurisdictions that have reduced their carbon output dramatically, and it incentivizes the reduction of carbon emissions by private industry. It doesn't impose it on them. It encourages them to change their business practices to do it themselves, and that's one of the smartest ways to go about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. And we'll give Mr. Dhaliwal.
I sure can.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll give Carla 1 minute rebuttal on Jeremy's statement.
Thank you. Climate change is a serious, critical issue facing both our country and the world. And the Liberals have released a very robust platform to deal with the environment, a huge component of which is climate change proper. What we're committing to, in addition to fixing the gutting of environmental assessments legislation that happened in 2012, is a commitment to reduce subsidizing fossil fuels, a commitment to creating more clean tech, a commitment to creating more clean jobs, just a commitment to making sure that every decision made by government takes into account environmental impact. So we don't just have an environmental platform per se, we have environmental concerns built into every one of our decisions. So when you hear a Liberal announcement on infrastructure, thank you, a third of that is green infrastructure. When you hear about jobs, you hear about jobs for youth in environmental organizations. That's pretty much it. Environmentalism is a foundation of Liberal policy now, not just a separate platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. So we're going to change this one more time. We don't have a lot of questions on the platforms as per the way that they're written. So what we're going to do is. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes. No worries.
Carry on.
That's fine.
Thank
No
you.
worries. Thank you. As far as greenhouse gas emissions are concerned, well, it's quite strange that today in this world we consider these two things to be opposite: economic progress and climate change. It's a top priority for anyone because we are living on this earth and everybody has to think about it. And here I would be again proud to say that yes, whatever the government did, it did it. It just didn't give statements, it worked on it. And because of that, we are the first government in Canadian history to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we did so while protecting Canadian jobs. Between 2005 and 2013, greenhouse gas emissions fell by 3.1%, and the economy grew by 12.9%. So both the things were looked into. The facts are that Canada represents less than 2% of the global carbon emissions. The US coal sector produces more CHG emissions than all of Canada, and NDP's push on this is carbon tax, which will not reduce the environmental problems, but it will raise your taxes.
Thank you, Harpreet. Our next question or statement is going to be about the coalition government. In the past, the Conservative Party has had minority governments, and from what I understand, a minority government lasts between 1 and 2 years in power. And so will the parties work with other parties to establish a coalition government? So we'll start with Sukh.
Thank you. Justin has made very clear, Liberal Party will work with any party or any member that get elected to make sure that we are able to proceed with the agenda. Even when I was in the parliament, Liberal Party, Conservatives are in a minority government, and many times we had to work with the government to make sure that we are able to get the legislation through, make the parliament work. But who was it that always manipulated it? It was Ginny Sims that manipulated in the last election, but now she should have learned sitting in that parliament that how the minority parliament works, but because she was in a majority situation. I can tell you in 2005, we passed Kyoto Agreement. We had a child care agreements in place. We had all those issues that are important to NDP, but who brought the government down? It was the NDP, and that's why we had these years of Conservative government, because they are the only party that's not willing to work with any other party.
Okay, so just to clarify your statement, will the Liberal Party form a coalition government with either the NDP or the Conservatives?
Justin has very clearly said that he is willing, because every member of parliament has an equal vote and equal participation. Whoever gets the most seats, if Liberals get the most seats, Justin Trudeau, Liberal Party, Carla Quattro, myself, we will work with the other members of parliament to achieve the best that we can for Canadians.
Okay. Ginny, thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. This election is about Canada and the kind of Canada we want. And our leader has been very, very clear that if we should wake up on the 20th with a minority government, he is willing to form a coalition with progressive voices, with a progressive party. Because this is not about power for old parties. This is about saving the Canada we love. And we have been very, very clear about that right from the beginning. And I will say that we have an opportunity right now, to elect a government that will give us the Canada we want, all of us. So let's work on that.
Harpreet?
As far as our leaders are concerned, everybody knows what they have said. And personally, I believe coalition governments are the right step. What I personally feel is because that gives all the parties a stance to work for the people. But definitely, right now, the question is economy. Everybody's concerned about the jobs, their future. So presently, we believe that definitely the Conservative Party will form the government, and our Prime Minister has already announced that even if one seat less comes, he will not stand for the Prime Minister. Anyone who has the maximum seats will go to the Governor-General and ask for support, and that is how the Parliament functions, that is how the governance is there. But we are very proud to say that the kind of support what we are getting right now, definitely one party will be forming the government. Yeah.
Thank you, Harpreet. Our next question is C51. Now we have a lot of questions on C51, and what I'll do is I'll ask the candidates. I'll actually go over the questions, and you can form your opinions. This is an interesting one that I was actually thinking about, and Mr. Dhaliwal can answer. Actually, you know what? We're going to give Carla a chance to answer this one. Mr. Trudeau supported Bill C-51, the Anti-Terrorism Act. Now, for those of you that don't know what C-51 is, it's if you're promoting terrorism, there's jail offenses, crackdown on terrorist propaganda, more arrests without warrants. I have to read my own writing. Personal information is shared between the departments, and CSINs can disrupt terrorist plots. So when the vote was in Parliament, the NDP supported no. The Liberal Party supported yes. The Conservatives, obviously, it was their bill. And we don't have anybody from the Green Party here, but they had supported no. The main concern that the C-51 has is access any and all information federal departments has on Canadians, and human rights such as liberty, privacy, and freedom of expression are not protected. So the question to Carla is, what is your stance on Bill C-51, and if you are in government, would you repeal C-51 or would you change it?
C-51 was a Conservative piece of legislation, and the Liberal Party's decision to support this piece of legislation was grounded in a commitment to the security of Canadians and a commitment to make important amendments to the legislation to address the concerns you've just raised. We put forth a number of really significant amendments to the legislation during the various passings, during the various readings of the Act, which, to be fair, were not supported by the NDP, which would have included parliamentary oversight, which would have included a restriction on the sharing of information. If these amendments had gone through, C-51 would look very different. Now, some of our amendments did go through, and C-51, I think, looks better for it, including restricting the ways that government departments can exchange information. The Liberal Party's commitment to you on C-51 is to, thank you, to make all the other necessary changes to C-51 that would safeguard the protections we're all concerned about. Because we have to balance, I mean, I'm a human rights lawyer, let me tell you, we have to balance civil liberties with securities. And I've thought long and hard about this piece of legislation, and it's certainly not how the Liberals would have written it, but at the end of the day, the balance went in favor of security in that particular decision. We will change it. We would not draft this legislation this way, but rest assured the amendments we put forth will make it look very different than what it looks like today.
Thank you, Carla. And actually, I'm going to get to you in a second.
Okay.
Okay, but I'd like to ask Harpreet on his stance on Bill C-51 and how it pertains to our community.
Absolutely. Thank you. So first of all, Bill C-51, there's a lot of myth which has been propagated by the opposition. Let me be very clear. This bill only pertains to 3 categories of people. Number 1, terrorists. Number 2, people who indulge in espionage, means who sell the secrets or who sell the interests of the country. And third, people who indulge in an armed conflict with our soldiers. These are the 3 categories of people. In today's world, the world is changing. This bill nowhere talks about taking away the rights of anyone. But I know 99.99%, whether they are the Sikhs or the Muslims or the Hindus, all oppose terrorists. Terrorists have no religion. So why should we be afraid? Rather, we should come forward and say it is for the interest of Canada. And we are Canadians, proud Canadians. In all the other countries, if this is a law, why not in Canada? Nobody is being stopped to go and protest against anything. It is only these 3 categories which are going to be subjected to this Bill C-51. And Bill C-51 came in force for 4 months back. Just one person has been charged who was propagating ISIS philosophy. 36 million people, one person charged.
Thank you, Harpreet. Jeremy?
A minute certainly isn't enough time to talk about all the incredibly terrible things that are wrong with this very, very bad piece of legislation. If you're interested, please do check out the analysis by Kent Roach and Craig Forsey. They're 2 incredible legal scholars, done a wonderful job. This is a bad bill. This is a bill that allows secret courts to give the power to intelligence and law enforcement agencies to contravene your charter rights. The Conservatives created it to largely suppress dissent, legitimate dissent, voices they didn't want to hear. We opposed it. We proposed 150 amendments, one of which was simply gutting the bill entirely. The language of the amendment was, this bill should not pass, it's a bad bill. The Liberals supported it. And when asked by a group of students at UBC why the Liberals had supported this bill, Mr. Trudeau responded by saying that he was afraid that Mr. Harper would make hay out of it during the election. I stand for a party that stands for your rights. The Conservatives created it, the Liberals supported it, we will repeal it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now, C-51 is an important piece of legislation that not too many people are happy about. So we're going to just carry on the conversation just a little while longer. And
I'd like to rebut what...
one second. Yeah. 1 second. I'll get to you in a second. Okay.
I'd like to rebut too.
Okay. No, we'll give everybody
again.
No, one butt's enough.
Yes.
Okay. So no, 1 second. We will get to you. Absolutely. So there was a question that was posed to Carla. You were talking about amendments, specific amendments. So what are the amendments that you're willing to take regarding C-51?
Do you want me to answer it? I
No,
have to answer.
Yeah, you can answer it.
Yep,
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So the big one is parliamentary oversight. So we would immediately create a committee to oversee, independent committee, a civilian committee to oversee the actions of CSIS and the government in these areas. That is a huge, that's a huge deal, and quite frankly, with the top 5 allies that we have, we're the only country that doesn't have such a committee. That's the biggest one. The second one is we would put in place measures to restrict the way information is shared. And to be honest, those logistical details I'm not privy to, but there will be firewalls put in place so that you can't unreasonably have your information shared. The other one that well, a bit of that was actually an amendment that was passed, but the third one, as far as I understand it, is there will be sorry, this is a little nervous for me. I want to make sure I get this right because it's a complicated piece of legislation. So, sorry. The third one would have to do with the way organizations work together. So the way CSIS works with other security organizations, whether it be Canada Border Services, whether it be Foreign Affairs, and just the way that their senior management people operate, distinct from the politicians and the political, quote-unquote, interference that could happen today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Harpreet?
Yes. We are the only party which is saying there should be a judicial review. We all believe that in this country, justice is served through our courts. Conservatives are the only party who are saying that there should be a judicial review on this. For example, first of all, what will happen? There are no blatant powers in the hands of the RCMP or CSIS. We talk about Air India. Air India incident happened in 1985, and we still say that nothing has been done. With this bill, had it been in force, RCMP and CSIS would have better monitored with each other, and then they can arrest a person for 48 hours and have to be produced before a judge. The judge will decide whether a person is a terrorist or whether a person is a convicted or not. So it is the judges who are to decide. We say security is paramount. That is why this bill has been passed. And I again repeat the same things what I have repeated earlier. This is a myth being created. It's a fear which is being created in the minds of the people that we will suffer. No, we will not suffer. Only those criminals who have malintentions for the country, they will be the ones who will be suffering on this.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. There is no liberty without security, and there is no security if you have no liberty. C-51 is about the Canada we want. C-51 gives horrendous powers, and there were no amendments put forward by the Liberal Party that we believed fixed the bill in a way that it needs to be. Our commitment is to repeal the bill. Secondly, when those 2 young people were trying to leave the country from Montreal, this bill was not in effect. The police have the power and the authority to intervene right now. We also know that even the guy who led the Air India issue said if this bill had been in place, he's not sure that things would have changed. The other thing is also every law society across this country, 15 past Supreme Court judges and prime ministers are all saying this bill has to go.
Thank you, Jenny. Jenny, you had mentioned that you wanted to, your party wants to repeal C-51. What would you replace it with?
We have laws in place, and what we heard from both border security and what we heard from the RCMP and CSIS was what they needed was more resources. What they needed was more resources so that they could do their job. And I think then if we have a deficiency in what we have now, we try to fix that deficiency instead of attacking people's liberty. And C-51 is not a simple bill. Lawyers have done a very detailed analysis. This will shut down dissent. It's meant to send a chilling factor right over the community. And this bill was created as an election issue to appeal to the base that the Conservative Party panders to.
This bill was not created for the election purposes. Mind you, in October last year, one of our Canadian soldiers was mowed down, if you remember, in Quebec. The RCMP had gone 1 week before to the judge to ask for a preventive detention order, and the judge had not given that order. had that bill been in place, that soldier's life could have been saved. Why? Because then the RCMP was already monitoring that person, and the police could have gone and asked or withheld that person, and that soldier's life could have been saved. So when we talk about liberties, individual liberties or collective rights, that's what the question is here. No, it's not wrong. Well, you don't agree to it. The fact is a fact, sir. Let me finish off, please.
No, one sec.
Let me finish it off,
One
Mr.
second. Just 1 second, Harpreet. 1 minute. Shamim Bhai. Excuse me. Shamim Bhai.
And then ask
Shamim Bhai.
to wait for an hour, no.
Yes,
Shamim Bhai.
they have to.
Shamim Bhai.
They have to,
if
sir.
you can write the question down. No, but yeah, you have to be respectful because we are taking questions in a written form. I understand your frustration. It's a very hot topic, but please, you need to respect everybody.
Mr. Shameen, let me finish it off, please. So the question is, when you say RCMP could have done it, but RCMP cannot do it because RCMP has to get an order from the judge to enter any place. They cannot just arrest some person or just hold some person. And what I am saying on record, sir, so you can check it out. So the question is, RCMP and CSIS, if they're monitoring, if they're keeping an eye on those people who have malintentions for Canada, tell me what is right or wrong. You are proud Canadian citizens. You know about it. Tell us. What else? What, just giving false promises, which Mrs. Jenny Sims is talking about? We will do this, we will talk that. Question is, you have to face this situation right now. The world is in crisis, whatever is happening, and the Conservatives have taken a stand. No one has to worry. For the past so many months, this bill has been forced. Tell me, how many people have been stopped? How many people have been touched by this? Just one person out of a population of 36 million.
Thank you, Harpreet. Mr. Dhaliwal, we'll do the last question with you, then we'll move on. On this subject, yes, on C-51.
But I would like to correct the NDP because they are spreading the wrong information. Yes. Right?
Okay, no, carry on.
That's what I would like to.
Just go ahead.
I would like to, because earlier the candidate said that Justin was at the UBC. Actually, I was present there. He had the same wording that he said. It's not like Mulcair. He will say something different in Quebec, and when he comes to in BC, he will say something different. Even on C-51, Mulcair in February said that he would not repel the bill C-51. When he saw a pressure from outside in March, what he did, I will repeal the bill. And I would ask Mulcair, because Ginny can lie whatever she want to, but I tell you right now that
okay, 1 second.
Withdraw, please.
I would say not lie, but I would say passing the misinformation.
Okay.
Let me say this way.
I'm sorry. Mr. Dhaliwal, yes, we need to be respectful.
Yeah.
Okay, so
misinformation, let me say this way. Misinterpret the information and give it to you fellows that are listening here. I tell you right now that when we brought in those amendments that NDP is asking for, who voted against those amendments? It was the NDP that did not support the amendments that protect the civil liberties. I can tell you, when we brought in a bill, Liberals brought in a bill after 9/11, we set the sunset clauses. That is the type of bill we need. C-51 have to be balanced. On one side, we got to make sure we are able to protect the security of Canadian, but we cannot sacrifice the liberty of Canadian at any cost, and nobody can teach Liberals who brought in the Charter of Rights and Freedom. And I'm very proud to stand and sit here today and say that I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that civil liberties are protected when it comes to putting a bill similar